It Lives Inside. It Lives Inside is a 2023 supernatural horror film written and directed by Bishal Dutta and starring Megan Suri. The film debuted at the 2023 South by Southwest Film Festival, and was released by Neon on September 22, 2023. Plot. Samitha, or Sam, is an Indian-American high school student who has been assimilating into Western society. While her mother, Purna, is insistent that Sam continue to follow traditions and pay respect to her heritage, her father, Inesh, is less strict towards her. At school, Sam tries to reject her culture to fit in with her white friends and has a budding romance with her classmate Russ. As a result, she has grown apart from her former best friend and fellow Indian student, Tamira, who is now a social outcast for acting withdrawn and carrying a strange glass jar. This concerns their teacher, Joyce, but Sam believes Tamira is fine. At night, Tamira feeds the jar raw meat, but something inside the jar starts damaging it. The next day at school, Tamira privately approaches Sam for help, claiming that a supernatural entity from a story they were told as children actually lives in the jar and has been terrorizing her. Sam, embarrassed and frustrated by Tamira, smashes the jar open, causing Tamira to have a panic attack. When Sam leaves to get help, Tamira is attacked by an invisible entity and goes missing. Sam feels guilty and begins to fear there is something sinister going on. She recovers a notebook Tamira had in her possession containing strange Sanskrit writings. Tamira is revealed to have been abducted and held captive by the entity, which attacks and mutilates her. Sam begins to notice a strange presence around her and takes a second look at Tamira's claims. Meanwhile, Purna grows more frustrated by Sam's disregard for Indian traditions, especially when she skips a special prayer for Tamira to hang out with Russ. Sam and Russ go to an abandoned house that belonged to another Indian student, Karan, who died alongside his family in a supposed murder-suicide. The pair discover drawings depicting a creature on the walls. The strange phenomena escalates, unnerving Sam, while Tamira suffers from daily attacks and fails an escape attempt. Sam and Russ visit Karen's house again where they kiss. Outside, he is attacked and killed by the entity in front of Sam. A traumatized Sam starts to lose her grip on reality and suffers from frightening nightmares. Desperate for help, she convinces Joyce to help her decipher some of the notebook's texts. Joyce identifies the texts as being about a demonic spirit known as a pishak, which feeds off negative energy before consuming the souls of its prey. The only way to stop the pishak is to seal it inside something like a jar. Sam asks Purna for help, who plans to lure out the pishak. As the pair prepare food and don traditional Indian attire, Joyce is attacked at the school and badly wounded by the entity. Inesh arrives home, only to be attacked and injured by the pishak. It also attacks Purna before being warded off. Sam realizes that Tamira is being held at Karen's house and races to the property to save her. Inside, she is attacked and stalked by the entity, which reveals its true form to Sam. Sam finds Tamira and confronts the entity. Realizing she can be the vessel to hold the pishak, Sam allows it to enter and inhabit her body. 1 year later, Sam has dinner with Tamira, Joyce, Purna and Inesh, who have all recovered. The group have managed to contain the entity by feeding Sam raw meat, much like Tamira did to the jar. Later, Sam and Tamira reconcile. As Sam assures Tamira that the pishak will never get out, she gradually begins to look more and more worried until she starts to cry. Comments. It begins with its standard shot, a camera tracking through a modest but dilapidated home. In the hallways of the dwellings are dead, crumpled bodies. Screams can be heard emanating from a wrought iron door leading to the basement. We travel up the creaking stairs to a body burned so badly that steam continues to rise from the charcoal skin. Its hand is extended to a glass jar filled with black smoke. This jar is merely a vessel, a metaphor for the hardships faced by the Indian inhabitants of this white suburb. In the story, we see Samitha, a spoiled and bratty girl who wants to fit into the white community no matter what, even if this causes conflict with her mother for not following family traditions. She is even rude to her mother to the point of causing contempt for being an old-fashioned woman clinging to a tradition that makes no sense to her. Her father, a soft-hearted man with his daughter, lets her be herself, even if this leads her down a path that seems to be heading out of control. She had a best friend who has become a weird girl who always carries a flask and refuses to help her when she asks for it, all so that she won't be seen talking to the weird girl at school, so she refuses to help someone she lived with for many years. And I think the main character is a disaster as a teenager, and she even gets her great love, a handsome white boy, murdered just as the boy declares his love for her. What more disaster could you ask for a main character? Fortunately, her mother is an exemplary person and provides the help the teenager needs, just after the teacher who was worried about Sam's friend Tamira was also murdered. Finally, I find the film very interesting with a setting that truly instills terror. The final scenes in that abandoned house are very cool, and the outcome of the story as well as the performance of the protagonist Sam is very good, an ending that leaves you wondering what will happen from now on with the pair of friends Sam and Tamira. The evil entity is phenomenal, very good, and although I'm not a fan of the fact that it was a perfect match, the social critique with the horror story makes the film worth watching. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 63% of 112 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of June 1, 10. The website's consensus reads, "Effective horror with a strong core of social commentary, It Lives Inside is an eerily compelling calling card for filmmaker Bishal Dutta in his feature-length debut." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 50 out of 100, based on 16 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled post-track gave the film a 34% positive score, with 44% saying they would definitely recommend it. Megan Navarro of Bloody Disgusting gave the film a score of 3.5/5, writing, "Dutta uses a familiar framework of teen horror as an accessible introduction to underexplored mythology exacerbated by a cultural divide and adolescence." While Dutta wears his influences on his sleeves, the gnarly new demon and the complexities of its characters mark this director as one to watch. Alexandra Heller-Nicholas of the Alliance of Women Film Journalists wrote, "While on the surface It Lives Inside plays fairly conventionally with horror's familiar codes and conventions, the incorporation of Hindu folklore in a story that is fundamentally built around the immigrant experience breathes new life into the otherwise hackneyed storyline." The Hollywood Reporter's Lovia Jarki wrote, "The potency of It Lives Inside, and why it might be worth checking out even if it isn't wholly satisfying, lies in how it introduces Sam and Tamira's relationship and links it to Hindu lore." Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com was more critical, writing, "While I appreciate the effort here and the quest for representation involving a culture that is not often seen in American horror, the execution misfires in every direction, leading to one of the most frustrating films I saw at South by Southwest this year. I kept actively trying to like It Lives Inside. It kept pushing me out." Slant Magazine's Derek Smith wrote, "Had the film actually delivered some genuine chills, it would be easier to look past its derivative story, hollow characterizations, and overly literal symbolism of depression and alienation, and gave it 1.5/4 stars." David Fear of Rolling Stone wrote, "While the idea of using a supernatural scary movie as a starting point for exploring the second-gen immigrant experience is rife with possibilities, the end result here doesn't necessarily make good on the promise of that premise. Thanks, goodbye."